what insights are people going to get today from this interview? Who should listen and why?
Well, literally everyone should listen. Right now, I believe we're at the same phase that we were back in the '90s when Bill Gates went on David Letterman and was talking about the internet, and David Letterman was cracking jokes about him, like, "Hey, what's this thing with email? I can send something in the mail. Why would I need to do it through a computer?" Like, we're at that time again, uh, switching into Web3, into the metaverse, and uh, what they'll get today is a little bit of my buying strategies, why I buy, how I search for it, also to what I believe SuperWorld will bring to the table.
All right, let's jump in. So, why should people care about virtual land? What is a virtual world?
Uh, Specifically, talking to SuperWorld, virtual land is a filter on top of the real world. Rich explained it best. You can have multiple filters on one plot of land. Literally, you can think of that as having, let's say, the Coca-Cola Museum, right? And on the Coca-Cola Museum, you could create a different type of museum, or you can create an apartment, or you can create. It's a piece of land where you can build anything you want, utilizing the physical, right? And you can create your own experience. You can um, leave notes for people. Like if you're a traveler, you like to go out and see the world, and you didn't travel with your travel buddy one time that you go out, but you hit up the town and you found everything to do. You can leave things for them, like a roadmap. Like, hey, make sure you go here, and then after you go here, you go to this next place, and you can leave that in an interactive way as to where people are not tied to their uh, old ways of doing things, like going through Facebook or anything. You can actually walk the street and look and see what somebody's left for you. And I found that to be pretty cool.
And what about like the other virtual lands and virtual worlds? I know you were explaining more about Superworld, but what's going on in these other virtual worlds, and maybe how are we a little bit different?
Yeah, well, people that are familiar with virtual land, like you have Decentraland, you have Uplift. But speaking to Decentraland, like it's in virtual reality, right? So you will not, maybe the capability will come later on where they switch into augmented reality or they'll utilize Superworld. But right now, that's set up in virtual reality. That's where you have to be, in your home with some goggles on and experiencing something from your home. What makes Superworld different is that they actually tackle both. They have what's called they call it super reality, as to where you can do physical things in the real world, but at the same time interact digitally, right? So you can walk the street and actually see content in front of you instead of plugging in and being at home and having to throw some goggles on your face and sit there and play, and that's a cool thing to do. But me, I like to be out and about, and it'll be cool to interact with the digital world as I'm living my real life.
What are you going to do on your virtual land in Superworld? What did you buy and why?
Well, when going back into the AI side of it, right, and what really confirmed what I was thinking from a great man. He said, "Look, in 1 to 5 decades, 90%, 95% of human jobs will not exist as they do today, right? That's potentially within my lifetime, and for sure in my kids' lifetime, right? And that helped solidify, the direction that I'm going. Um, Going to what I'm going to do with my properties is right now I'm in the NFT space, finding out different artists and things like that, and where I think my calling is to help people that are like totally in the dark about this whole space, And for those people that kind of see the space but don't know the direction where it will go to the end. That being said, like a NFT artist, I'm searching out for NFT artists. The art that I can't afford, I pick it up right now because it's affordable for me affordable art for me to get, and I plan on utilizing their art to display what this new internet, this new era that we're moving into, and guiding them and telling them like, hey, I'll go into an example of what SuperWorld's doing as to where you can geotag art. Okay, so I have one guy that I met, Owo, and not Owo. Owo is on another project, but a guy that makes African masks, right? And he makes these masks for tribes in Africa, and with these masks throughout Africa, they all come from different regions, different parts. And he currently makes the mask, sells them. He put it in crypto boxes. I didn't bring that up earlier, but he put it in crypto boxes. For those of you that don't know what crypto boxes is, it's another space where you can go to display your work and things. And he took everybody through. He had an event where he put all this art up, and he walked everybody through and explained the history behind the mask and the region that it came from, and what it meant to the people. And I got the idea like, hey, take those masks, put them in SuperWorld, geotag it to the village that those masks came from, and you can enhance the experience as to where people can specifically see where this mask is. So if they do take a trip to Africa, guess what? They now have something to show, like, hey, look, I bought this online. This is a mask, and that's even a more personal conversation that they can have with the people that's there, right? And that's the type of stuff that excites me because at the end of the day, connecting people and connecting technology, if you do it the right way, it can benefit people tenfold, right? And the people that are already out there creating, like, if they know what to do with this technology, then it will make their lives better monetarily wise, and it can enhance the experience of education. And that's the other thing that I purchased my particular pots for is education. I own several museums. I can go into some specific, like I went after Hall of Fame, right? And this is a little bit into my buying strategy. I hope I'm not jumping in front of a question or something.
No, go ahead, keep going.
Right. So strategy was what history, because I'm in the U.S. and to help bring it home, like I'm in the U.S. So if someone's in like the UK, Africa, Germany, Iran, anywhere, they'll have their own thing that's in their country, their region that they will promote. But for me, the museums that I looked for originally, they were already purchased. So I'm also like, I want to get into education. I know that this space is switching into an NFT space. What is the best thing as to where, A, financially, I can, support my family off of this, and B, something that I don't have to go out there and promote. And, my thought process was like, hey, Hall of Fames. I know that the NFL, the baseball, hockey, soccer, all these places are getting into NFTs. Let me go check out and see if these Hall of Fames are open. And sure enough, the NFL Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, Hockey Hall of Fame, NASCAR Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Grammy museums, all of those were open. So I made some sacrifices, and that's what I purchased. Now, how I think, and going to what I was talking about earlier, the brick and mortar side of it, like these places already exist and they're already running businesses, right? But augmented reality can actually help those businesses expand and give a better customer experience through AR, right? So, as somebody's walking through a museum, right now how it's set up, you have your music, or like if you go into the area, you'll have somebody speaking over a loudspeaker or something and telling you about that particular art piece or physical item that's there. Let it be a football that Drew Brees threw his record-setting touchdown. Like now in augmented reality, guess what? You can have Drew Brees stand there in the NFL Hall of Fame and talk to you about his day and how he felt. You can see him through your AR glasses when they come up. Like you can go to the baseball Hall of Fame and see and hear from Barry Bonds himself his record-setting home run. You can find out who run the first NASCAR race and have somebody narrate it, like right there in your face. Like it's so many things that you can do with it, and I just really wanted to be a part of helping that along.
What's the other ways that other people are going to use virtual land? How will they use this and benefit from it? That you see.
Well, from virtual land, from the virtual land, owning the virtual land aspect, it will be the monetization side, because in SuperWorld, that is why you want to own these plots of land, because there is a hydra of possibilities of monetization, right? You have data, which companies pay trillions of dollars to find out if you brush your teeth every morning, or if you buy toilet tissue every week or 2 weeks, or there's that aspect of it that SuperWorld will, being a plot owner, you would get monetized on if somebody is looking for data, right? On the personal side, like as a plot owner, like I mentioned earlier, as to where I can have my NFTs or other people can have their NFTs and sell on the plots that I own, I will get a cut of that, right? Also, on the advertising aspect of it, if NASCAR wanted to promote their NFT, they can make an advertisement like, hey, look, at our Hall of Fame, even though you're in New Orleans, hey, we're going to have an event where we're going to release this NFT at the Hall of Fame. Come visit the Hall of Fame. Now, I think that works better for businesses, right? Because I talked to a couple of people, they didn't even know Hall of Fame exists. So this is an advertising opportunity to tell people like, hey, we have this place where you probably wouldn't have known about if we advertised about it. B, you're now buying something from that plot of land that you wouldn't have even stepped foot to if we didn't make it available to you. And 3, when you do plan your future trip, guess what? Being that you interacted with us virtually, most likely you'll put it on your agenda to go see them physically. So being a plot owner, there's a plethora of ways you can get paid just for owning the plot. Now, the question I get from a lot of people too is like, hey, I can't buy a plot. How can I make out? Well, if you're an NFT artist, music artist, because music is NFTs as well, video, movies are NFT. You can create as NFTs. You can post that from the comfort of your own home at locations where you think you will get the best viewership. And at a minimal cost, and talking to the future stuff, it probably will be at no cost, where you can post that stuff. You can create it yourself and post it where you need to. So it's not just just for plot owners. It's for people that are creators as well. And even I'm talking about artists and things, but people that write books. If you create a book, ebook, or you just want to publish a novel and put it at Shakespeare's theater, You know, like if I was interested in writing a book, and I was writing something Shakespearean-ish. Sorry if my word mix up, but you have the opportunity to do that from your home. Post it at a theater that that people will go to because it's a story. As they're walking up, oh yeah, look at this. What's this? And you have a link to your website or whatever, and that's it. And also too, speaking to when you was talking about the advertising side of it, like when you go into hotels now, this is how I think, D. Everywhere I go is an advertising opportunity. Like I used to work in corporate sales, right? And Louis Punto, never forget him. And I thank him. And Louis, if you're listening to this, thank you, sir, because you woke up a lot of stuff within me. He said, like, where would you go to get customers? It's like what people say, phone book, go on the internet, do a Google search. And he said, okay, so who would you sell computers to? I'm like, I'll do a Google search for this, and everybody came up with all these ideas. And he said, nobody told me anything in the real world. Y'all want to go look up something. But what about what you do every day? Where can you get clients from? Everybody was just silent, right? Say, Byron, when you're in your car and you're driving, what do you see? Says traffic lights, people. Say, do you see trucks? It's like, yeah. Say, trucks have names and phone numbers on it, right? Like, yeah. You say, what about when you drive by businesses? You see businesses, right? You see the names of those businesses. You got the address for them, right? Like, yeah. Say, write those businesses down while you're driving by, as you're walking by. All those people are clients. Every single one of them. And that's just like, holy crap. So speaking of SuperWorld for advertising, right? When you go to a hotel, right at the hotel lobby, there's a stand with a whole bunch of pamphlets. Like, hey, I'm going to bring my hometown New Orleans into this. Swamp tours. There's French Quarter tours. There's New Orleans Jazz Museum tours. All these little pamphlets are at the hotel desk, right? And everybody's trying to get you to join their thing. Well, now, when you walk into a hotel room, you're going to have the capability to do an advertisement in AR and be unique as people walk into these hotels. You don't have to go to the pamphlet thing to go look and see what to do. You can do it right there as you walk in the street. Walking into the hotel, walking to the resort. And usually, a term that sticks with me, the early bird gets the worm. J. Lee Walls made a song about it. It's true. Like these people that take an interest in what's going on in this space, if they're early adopters, they will be the pioneers of this space. And being that they're the pioneers, they stand to benefit the most.
Definitely agree with that.
I think I probably went off a little bit, but sorry.
Yeah, well, I was going to thank you at first because I think I kind of asked more about the land monetized, like the land owners in SuperWorld, but you did definitely jumped right into non-land owners. So just to clarify for everyone listening, you can do anything in SuperWorld for free. You don't need to own the land. Owning the land gets you a share of revenue from user activity that occurs on your land. So, everything to do with land is definitely tied to monetization. So you as a landowner, as Byron mentioned before, with, advertising, analytics, and commerce and even gaming. So, these are things that are going to be occurring on your land. It's already happening now. Like everything that you can do in the internet, or everything, entertainment, commerce, shopping, research, whatever it is that you do on the internet, you're going to be able to do this in an AR and VR setting. And so, and when it comes to SuperWorld, we're already in SuperWorld. Like you can imagine the internet just laying on top of wherever you are. And if you could just add some digital content to that, that would be the AR metaverse. And I did want to tie into about analytics, and data, because I feel like that's something that could definitely scare people away a little bit. And, data is something that's very big on our mind. Just so everyone knows, like, I hear our founder, our CEO, talk about this all the time about that documentary on Netflix called Social Dilemma. And,
Yeah.
and we're humongous advocates for, data integrity, data privacy, and, permission based data. So, you know, it's something I wanted everyone to be aware of. There is definitely lots of ways to monetize data, and I think it's only going to go advance from here, especially when users like ourselves really get full control and, permissions of our data. So we would decide how our data is used and by who. And, I think it's really going to ramp things up, because, maybe you would share everything with a certain company that you trust, especially if they're going to enhance, a certain part of your life. Um, I think about it all the time. I want something to kind of like, I need like a doctor to monitor me, everything I do. Like, am I exercising enough? Am I eating too unhealthy today? And I would share that data openly, as long as I know it wasn't being used, nefariously or against me, or any negative way. Um, so yeah, a lot of data can be, captured in a virtual world. And I'm just really, you know, I'm just excited to see how this data industry plays out, especially when it comes into artificial intelligence. I mention it all the time about, I think that, the AI could improve my golf swing. And, I'm really imagining all the data that AI could filter and, give us information about our daily lives, and making decisions. Um, it's going to be a really powerful tool in the future.
How AI is progressing through this world, like, again, I truly believe, from what I was told by, again, like I said, a great man at 1 to 5 decades, these jobs as we know it won't exist. And people tend to look at that as a negative way, right? But right now is the solution. The solution is to look to what we can do right now to make sure it doesn't impact us negatively, right? So all the opportunities that I just spoke about in SuperWorld, being a plot owner or not, utilize that in your decisions to, well, what you're going to do for the future, right? I'm excited about the future, because as far as like advancing in civilization, advancing as a human race, like, we're literally at a point where the technology and our knowledge is accelerating growth, right? And a lot of people are scared of that. But if you position yourself right and do what you have to do to ensure, like, you're educated on it, you can counter it, right? You can, you have a travel business, you can advertise it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times more than what you can actually do it now at little to no cost, right? And when I say that I'm excited about the hardware and the technology that's coming out, specifically, Snapchat has the spectacles that are out. Ray-Ban just released. Even though it doesn't do AR, the Ray-Bans. You got Apple on the, everybody's waiting for the Apple announcement. For people that tend to know that Apple is going to be making these glasses where you can walk around and see things. And when I say see things, I'm not talking about, crazy mental things. I'm talking about actual digital assets in the real world as we live. And that's what helped me make the decision, like, hey, I'm going to go with SuperWorld, because I want to still live in the real world, to go out with my kids and still be able to, participate in the digital world.
Tying into our motto here at SuperWorld, which is we want to make the world a better place, and we believe we're going to do that by enhancing your personal life. We were kind of talking about that in the clubhouse today about, someone mentioned an initiative that was pretty close to his heart. And, that's what we imagine here in SuperWorld, is enhancing your personal life. So, whatever that means to you. I think the guy that mentioned it up, he was talking more about, addiction and, trying to help people to, get to through troubling times, and, the way art, can be used to do that. And, SuperWorld, we're 100% behind initiatives like this. Everything we want to do in SuperWorld, we want to improve the world. We want to make the world a better place. Whether that's what we did with Flint, Michigan, with the NFT drops that were directly going to fixing the pipes in the 18,000 homes that still have corrupted pipes, to, what we're doing at Sedema with the World Bank and disaster fighters for the hurricane season, and even now with what we're doing in Haiti. What was that aha moment that really clicked for you, that really made you more interested and excited about SuperWorld?
There were several. Like news around, watching movies and like Ready Player One, like I said, was like the kind of the foundation of it. And then, Free Guy coming out, Matrix 4 coming out, like all these different things coming out, where a lot of times in movies, you see these things first, and you'd be like, hey, that would be cool to do. But like literally, we're living in a time where it actually is going to be done, right? But the one moment that solidified me, that had me go all in, is when I gave SuperWorld a call, right? When I was using a particular wallet that wasn't working too well. And I was like, this thing's not connecting. Let me give these guys a call, see if they know what they're talking about, right? Now, when I called, I already figured out that they probably couldn't help me because, it's a wallet issue. And I was being stubborn and trying to use this one particular wallet. And when I called, this guy picks up. Hello, how can I help you? What's going on? And I told him the issue. And like literally 30 minutes, 40 minutes on the call, trying to help me through it, tried to use different things, and, hey, I'm going to take notes on this and see if we can improve this and this. And now keep in mind, before I called, I already watched, like YouTube is my source of information. Some people may say YouTube, but it's generally a good source when you're looking for knowledge on stuff. And I noticed the voice. The Rish has a very distinct voice, right? Mannerisms, how he talks. And this person I was talking to sounds a lot like Rish. So he helped me out with this stuff, and I'm out there like, hey, by the way, you sound like Rish Lockbacard, CEO. Like, are you Rish? He's like, yeah, matter of fact, I am. I was like, oh, snap. Like, CEO's talking to a regular person, right? Helping them out. And, preceding that, when I talked to him, he said, yeah, he expressed to me like, hey, he was expecting a phone call. He can talk to me until, he got this phone call. And when I got the help with the tech issue, I'm like, okay, cool. And then he asked, like, hey, did you have any other questions about SuperWorld? And I was like, hey, if you can't tell from this interview, you're doing right now, like, are you sure you want to ask me that question? Because I got a lot of questions. And when I tell you, he answered every single question I had. And, thankfully, he didn't get that phone call when I had all these questions, right? And, he answered everything, went into a little bit more detail on how SuperWorld was going to work and what his vision was and what drove him. Like, literally, like this interview you're doing with me, like, I was given to him, and, he openly, answered everything I had. So I'm out there like, you know what? Customer service is huge for me, right? That's the number one thing. Like, if you're a person that cares about the small person or a person that's trying to get the knowledge, if you can care about that person and each and every person, hopefully he does, and I really do think he does do that with everybody. If you can do that with me, I know that you're good people, you're dedicated to your project, and you're going to do any and everything to make sure it's successful. So that was my aha moment. Like when I said like, oh, should I do this or should I buy just one plot? Nah, that solidified it for me, man.
Big shout out to Rich, and both our founders, our whole team really. But Rich is amazing. Same with Max Woon. Um, they are the visionaries behind this, and this isn't their first time doing something like this. So I'm just very grateful to be a part of this. Man, I can't say enough about that. So yeah, thanks again, Rich, and shout out to Rich and Max. Is there another question that you might have, for the team or maybe for Rich?
Yeah, the questions, a couple that came up, just with talking to people and just, trying to understand a little bit more about SuperWorld. I do know that they are going to do the spatial audio thing, which again is connected with Apple, as to where you can have conversations, you can geo-pin conversations to certain locations, and as people are walking by, as long as they have it enabled on their phone, they can actually hear and then join into that conversation. There's not a lot of things on the internet about it, but I do know when speaking to Rich that was one of the big things that he was excited about. So like if there's any more information on that, that would be like phenomenal. Or if you know.
I don't really have anything set in stone, but I'm also just as excited. I do hope it's coming very soon, before the end of the year. Spatial audio is something I'm really excited about. Traveling the world, talking with people without even leaving the house, really, even though we don't want to create a virtual world that we suck you in and you don't leave the house. Like the whole point of SuperWorld is to augment the physical world, enhance the physical world. So yes, definitely will let you know when I hear back on the spatial audio. Hopefully it's something that's implemented very soon. Is there anything that we should be considering doing more of for landowners or super citizens?
I think for landowners, for one, and landowners, hopefully you could get behind me on this one, is to have like this one big party in like Cancun or something for everybody. So yeah, shout out to the landowners. landowners. But on a serious note, yeah, like have a Telegram group, or not Telegram group, or well, yeah, maybe a Telegram or a Discord group, most specifically, and it would be great, like, if we knew, like, a lot of the, like, tech things and advancements that were going on, because, as a community, like, 1,000 brains is better than one, you know what I'm saying? And, like, out of that 1,000, maybe you get some, like, 10 groundbreaking ideas out of it and, like, build off of it. So, like, I know that you guys are building what you're building, the foundation and everything, but, like, having us plot owners, a little bit more involved in the development process would be cool. So that, when, the SuperWorld app comes out of beta, like this thing can hit the ground like smoking. And, just like, and another point to that for plot owners, like I know for like the inner circle, they have, these little like business cards that they get, these virtual business cards, right? Like it would be cool, like if, SuperWorld had that capability for us. So like, say we were on LinkedIn or something, and people, like say I wanted to reach out to the NASCAR Hall of Fame or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? Be like, hey, I am the official plot owner for this particular site. I would like to be the ambassador for you, and help educate your marketing department, or if that will be something that SuperWorld would do, like, hey, have that contact information that we can get to them when we engage with them, if we engage with them, because we could put this stuff out on Twitter, we could put it in LinkedIn, and get people to start conversating about it. Be like, hey, what's this? Like a back end marketing portal or something, like where we can better share the vision of SuperWorld instead of like making our own post and stuff, you know.
Okay. Yeah. I love all those ideas. So I don't want to take much more of your time. I really appreciate your time being here. I only have two more questions to end it out. And the first one is, I really wanted to know if you could share anything like very interesting that you see other landowners doing. And particularly, I really wanted you to share your story of your friend that owns Alabama. He's a big LSU fan.
Yeah, so that came up on Clubhouse today. Like some people own stadiums. Now keep in mind, I'm giving this example, folks. Take it for whatever plots that you decide to go and own. But being from New Orleans, we're diehard Saints fans, diehard LSU fans, and he thought he ended up buying Alabama. And he's like, why don't you buy Alabama? He said, you know what I'm going to do with it? The football field, when all this AR stuff is fully implemented, I'm going to make the football field purple and gold. And it's going to be LSU. When LSU goes to Alabama for a away game, it's actually going to be their home field for everybody looking at it. Or that even provides the opportunity where he can then sell that field, right? And again, this goes into of how you can create a business with augmented reality. Because if you're a football fan, and let's say you are participating in AR, once these Apple glasses, or if you have the Snapchat spectacles, how upsetting it would be if you're an Alabama fan, right? And you looking at the LSU home field on your field, like, that would be highly upsetting. So he's excited to see what that turns into. It's pretty funny, but it's actually something that can be done. So even take it to the NFL. If the Saints come to Los Angeles, I wish I bought the whole field, because I definitely would have did that. Was to change the LA Rams field to the Saints home field. It's just awesome. And just speaking to that too, like what happened yesterday, the football game, Carolina Panthers had like a augmented reality showcase, a Panther that jumped on the field, ripped the Jets flag down, and ripped it up on the field. So just the people that are saying like, oh, that's in the future, like literally it just happened yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like it just happened yesterday. So I'm really excited about that. And to speak on one other example, because I'm into VV as well, right? So what people gotta understand is that SuperWorld is slated to be blockchain agnostic as to where they want to be the gateway, the Google to the metaverse, right? And speaking to all my VV holders, because I'm big into the VV community. I'm big into following and participating. Like right now, the Starship Enterprise just came out. I'm a diehard Star Trek fan, man. Like I grew up on Star Trek. Like Jean-Luc Picard is my homie, right? And when the Star Trek Enterprise came out, the first thing that came to mind is, guess what? I'm gonna set this USS Enterprise over a stadium, and hey VV, if you're out here listening to this, hey look, if I can land that Starship Enterprise on the field, and then have people virtually walk through it, through all the floors, that would be awesome. So, or the Borg cube that came out with it, walk through the Borg cube. I would love to, walk through the Borg cube. That would be cool to actually do, And speaking of video games, Street Fighter, all that stuff. Hey, look, at halftime, you bored with the halftime show or something? Guess what? Play a game of Street Fighter or Tekken right there on the football field. How awesome would that be?
I really appreciate your time, Byron. My last question for you is, do you have any worries, concerns, or suggestions that we should be aware of?
Well, the lazy, actually you brought it up a little bit earlier about the lazy minting feature. People that are new to the new NFT space, I know right now with the way things are with like gas fees and things, is to like give a little bit better explanation to those who are buying, and maybe let a buyer know that they are paying the gas fee of, which is including the lazy mint, if that makes sense. Because they're looking at it like, hey, why in the world is this that much? Well, it's because that the buyer is taking on that cost of minting it. So people not turned away by that. And also, going a little bit more, I know that you touched on this a little bit in the clubhouse about becoming more blockchain agnostic, and partnering with other blockchains, like kind of explaining that a little bit more in detail for people so that for people that operate outside of Ethereum, that they can start getting knowledge about what SuperWorld is. Because like if somebody participates on one particular blockchain, it's like, oh no, I'm not going to look at that until it comes to mine. Just, giving them the heads up so they can start looking at it. Like more educational about, exactly what SuperWorld, because all of us that's in the community, we join the Telegram, Discord, and all that stuff. We know about all those things, but, like put out a little bit more videos about what, blockchains are, maybe give people education, like even having an educational, seminar or something, explaining what this blockchain does over the other, and as it's implemented into SuperWorld, and give people education on that aspect of it. YouTube, like they had a YouTube channel that was the SuperWorld channel, where they would come out and talk to specific artists, right? So, like every other day, every day, like whatever the schedule permits, where you can like spotlight artists that specifically newer artists that's trying to get their work out there, like sitting down having a conversation with them in a YouTube format, put it out for everybody to see how a beginner would learn SuperWorld and maybe mint to it, showing the lazy mint and just the regular mint, and then going to advanced people that already know what they're doing, like have like a channel or like a group session where it really teaches people on how to use the platform. Because right now there's the SuperWorldApp that's separate from the MetaMask extension, where you go to buy the plots, like explaining that a little bit more for people so that they can get it.
Awesome.